Good morning, everyone, and welcome to part two of my ayahuasca journey. If you didn't see the first one, I recommend you go back. This is going to be a linear process, and they'll build upon each other. This one, again, I've got a board below me for some notes, so I don't get too long-winded. This one I'm calling part two. Everyone and everything is evil. That'll make sense here shortly. So, to start, the Call of Soltara. As I said yesterday, I got out of that Bufo experience and something in me just knew that ayahuasca was the answer. It was the deep work. Hold on. What's funny is at this point, I know very little about ayahuasca. So I have no idea why I was positive that ayahuasca was the answer. And as I continue to reflect on the experience, I find that interesting. And I don't have an answer, I'm just voicing it because I find it interesting, and you guys may be in a point that you are thinking about ways to help yourself and hear about ayahuasca as it's more popular. Aaron Rodgers, for a lot of the people, are sports fans, and Rogan talks about it, and it's just a lot more. Plant medicine, especially psilocybin, is really in the news a lot more, and it's awesome. But I dove into it. And part of that process was I was going to go anywhere in the world that I could. I think there'll be a video of my thoughts on some of the churches that are popping up and stuff like that. My knee-jerk reaction to that is I'm not a big fan, and that's a hindsight thing of the level of experience that I had and how I don't feel that could be replicated in certain areas, but I counter that with giving anyone access in any form to this stuff is powerful, so I don't know. Video for another time. I'm searching anywhere in the world, and I think you should too. I'll touch on the ROI factor in a second. For me, I grew up on the water, or near the water. There is something in water, being near water, that does something to my soul. It is cathartic in a way that nothing replicates. I've been in Colorado for the past decade, and the mountains are special, but it just doesn't touch water. What's interesting is there's studies coming out now of what being near water does for anyone, whether they acknowledge it or not. There's something peaceful that it does, and connection, and the woo-woo side of me is like, yeah, obviously, there's a part of the universe that you're connecting with there, and it's super cool, but so I'm looking everywhere, and I knew I needed to be near the water, so I started looking at coastal regions. There was a place in Ecuador that was super highly rated, and but it was surrounded by other resorts. It wasn't private enough. I looked out in Brazil, and that one, what is his name? Rick Doblin, one of the premier guys in this space, is connected to that establishment. So that was up there. There was a place in Spain, southern Spain, that was amazing, but it was booked. But I kept coming back to Costa Rica and researching there. There's a couple places there that had pretty bad reviews, good reviews and bad reviews. There's one that's like super famous, but they do 90% ceremonies, and I think that's a grift. That bothers me a lot. But I kept coming across this place called Soltara. And as I dove into it, they had a place in Peru and a place in Costa Rica. As I looked at their grounds, Costa Rica is incredible if you've never been there. The jungle goes right to the ocean. It's fascinating. There was a part of me that, this is gonna sound like a fucking asshole statement, but I didn't want hippie riffraff around me. It's not where I'm at in life. Those aren't people that I have nothing in common with, other than, I suppose, the mental healing aspect. But I wanted people that could afford a place that was a little higher end in a judgy aspect, but I'm comfortable with it. It's what I felt at that time. I also wanted to be comfortable. I didn't want to sleep in a hut. I believed going into this that this was going to be so fucking difficult for me that in my off time I wanted to be near the water. I wanted to have air conditioning, have great food. I believe that people should get paid for what they are doing. So a place that was more expensive was telling me that they probably paid their facilitators better. world-class. I thought they were shamans, but they're called maestro and maestra, male and female. So it was a clarification for me, but I believe there's a price to get world-class things. And I am fucking grateful that I can afford that. I'm even more grateful that I have the support of my wife to spend that money, you know, regardless of being able to afford it. It was a lot. I think all in, I ended up spending close to 10 grand on it. I upgraded to my own room. I flew first class. I really set myself up for the best possible experience. So yeah, that's why Costa Rica. It's the most beautiful place in the world. I touched on the world-class facility, and then I look at ROI. And I actually talked to them down there about that. It's one of the most expensive places in the world. The room I ended up paying for was like $6,200, something like that, $6,200. But then I upgraded my flights. You have to have a hotel on each end of the in San Jose, just because of the way flight timing works, or I did at least. Some people choose to stay there. In hindsight, if I did it again, I would spend a few more days on the backside in Costa Rica. Just one note. I mentioned it in yesterday's video. I think what I got out of this retreat, and again, I'll touch more on this in future videos, but I think that this will make me $1 million in the next few years. It has been just unreal what it has done. So the reason I keep saying this over and over again and beating a dead horse is, if you're looking at the cost and it's stretching a little bit, don't break the bank, but push your limits a little bit. There is an ROI to this that you need to believe in, you should believe in. I genuinely mean that. The set and setting that this place provided was just incredible. I'll do a video that is a full review of Soltara. But the last thing I want to say about it is the people. I think that not only did ayahuasca call to me, but it called me, and again in hindsight, to Soltara. There is something special about that place. The facilitators that are there are just incredible human beings. I think that the other people that were there, we just meshed in a way that is not common that you get when you have group events. So I think that the universe did something there for all of us, put us with those particular facilitators, with those particular other participants in that place, in that time. It was a smaller event than they normally have, and goddamn, it was special. So if you're looking at a place and it feels right, go with it. I kept trying to find some savings, $1 grand or $2 grand, and I ultimately decided it wasn't it. I just felt that place calling to me, and I pulled the trigger, and it was so right. And so I'll move on, but just if it feels right, fucking do it. Part 2, pre-ceremony yoga. So actually, you know what I'm skipping here is the share circle. And I can't remember, I didn't look at the itinerary before I started this video, but probably one of the best things that they did was the share circle. I'm not going to share other people's, their anything about them, frankly, except for one point, because it really affected my journey there. It was one person in their share that said they had lost the ability to feel joy. And it fucked me up as someone who, having joy and gratitude for everything in my life is such a foundational thing for me. I couldn't believe that someone was going through that in a way that it's not that they're suffering, it's that they could voice in a way that was so genuine and so broken that they couldn't feel joy. The reason I'm sharing that one part of that person's story, and I will not share anything else about it, is that it fundamentally changed my nights, because I thought about that pre-ceremony, I thought about it during ceremony while I was tripping. That person kept coming into my head, and what I want to stress there is the importance of what I feel that I'm doing is sharing my journey. Hopefully something that I share you latch onto, and it fucking pushes you to be better and do the hard work to improve. Because goddamn, did him sharing that do that for me. And I hope he's watching this. And I told him that the effect that had on me, and I mean it so genuinely. So hopefully that pushes you to share yourself a little bit. The way that I'm doing here, this isn't super easy for me, but I am very motivated by hoping that it helps one of you, the same way that gentleman made such a fucking difference for me. So pre-ceremony yoga, if your place offers this, do it. I don't like yoga. I like it, but I struggle with the attention span for it. It was so important to be away from my phone, electronics, etc. in this positive space with goddamn Tati is the most beautiful human being on the planet. And to set us up for success going into that event, the first night. If you have something like that, please do it. If you don't offer it, consider doing it yourself. Put yourself in a beautiful state, that your body is relaxed so that your mind and heart can relax. That's one of the fundamental things. I didn't want to feel any physical pain, or as little as possible as I'm trying to do the mental work. I don't want to be distracted by it. So there was significant power in that. Even though I'm not flexible enough to do a lot of the moves, it was good. Dosage. This is where some of the things I'm going to touch on are, I'm not an expert in ayahuasca, obviously. Listen to your facilitator, absolutely, over me. But I challenge you to do more. I think one aspect I would find a benefit of facilitators is if they pushed people a little harder and challenged them. They're very accommodating and supportive, but I think people are there to do hard fucking work and they're scared and they need to be pushed a little bit. I think that there's power in that. There's a place for people to find their own journey, but everyone who's there wants to be there to do the hard work, and sometimes they just need to be fucking pushed a little bit. So the thing that I would share with you is, at least the way that they had it set up, is the first night is a starter dose. For them, it's 1.5 cups max. It's a cup to start and then a half cup to finish. Or was it 3/4? I think it was a cup and a half, so I'm going with that. Frankly, I can't remember if it was 3/4 or a full cup. But regardless, it was a short dose, and it's split up. You have a window to do a second dose, and my purpose here is to highly encourage you, because a lot of people didn't, is do the fucking second dose. Just do it. It's not going to be enjoyable, but you went there to do work, especially if you spent the money like I did. Fucking push. I did that, and I felt really nothing on the first cup, just a little comfortable, little shift. Second dose is when the evil set in. That's why I named this, Everyone and Everything is Evil. First night wasn't good. I took the second dose and then I started tripping. Wasn't super strong like we'll get into on the following nights, but it was fairly significant. I viewed these giant wolves' faces coming in, and then the facilitators, they were walking around as what I am calling priests and priestesses of darkness, and they were like 12, 15 feet tall of just dark shapes. I couldn't make the shapes out, but I could hear the icaros being sung by the maestro and the maestra and the whispers, and it was just pure evil, and I was positive that I had made a mistake. And I wasn't scared at all. A defense mechanism or hero complex probably kicked in, where I just knew that I had to rail against it, and the next day that I would challenge them on their evil, make sure that the other participants knew that there was something dark. I ultimately ended up changing that second part because it's not my place to affect fucking anyone else's, I realize, but I guess we'll touch on that in a second in my morning reflections. But goddamn, I kept trying to find the maestro and maestra as I could hear them, and I couldn't see them. And I was like, they have to be evil, or else they would show themselves. And I knew they were in front of me, and while he's right in front of me, I could not see him. My brain would not let me see him. I could just hear the serpent whisper. And it was horrible. I just spent the entire first ceremony just so certain that there was an evil in that place, that there was an entity that I couldn't explain, and everything that drove me to ayahuasca was a trick, and I don't know what they were trying to get from us, but it was not good. It wasn't good. And I went to bed just laying in bed. I came out of it, I get spit out of it, and I'm polite to the people as I walk out. And I just lay in bed reflecting that, what have I done? I think that this is where the fact that I've worked on this for years, a lot of self-work, that I was able to not get lost in that. And we'll push forward to morning reflection. So I get up super early and I go to the gym. And one of the main guys is down there. He's such a wonderful person. I think actually both Alon and Nick are probably down there. But definitely Alon. No, he was down there by himself first. And I walked in, he asked me how my night was. And I told him, I can't explain it, but there's a huge part of me that believes that there is an evil here that is not okay. It was funny because he didn't expect that answer, I know. I had worked already to that point where another part of my brain was saying that is not true. And it was a battle that was going on in my head. And, I voiced that and as I was just trying to objectively work through it, but there was 60% of me probably was pretty sure that they were full evil. What was cool along, he's like, I'm just gonna tell you that there's nothing I can say that's gonna talk you out of that. You're gonna have to face that one yourself. And as a reflective point, I thought that was super cool. And I think that helped me not think that they were evil, because I think if they had tried to really try to convince me that they weren't, it probably would have ground in that it was. And I think that's really where you get, him and Christina have been doing this for 20 years. And the expertise there is just fascinating. And I think that's really, I'm gonna bring this up probably multiple times, if you get what you pay for. And then Nick came in and shared the same thing, and it's funny, you can see that they've had those reactions. They even shared it, they've had people just leave the retreat. You just can't convince them otherwise. But I came there to do work, and maybe a curiosity to me of what that evil was led me to where I wasn't gonna leave. So I fucking faced that all day. And I shared it in the sharing circle. It was pure evil. And just trying to be open about my battle with that. And it's something I've been working on prior to this, where I just voice everything that I'm facing. And Amanda has to deal with that a lot. And it's probably cool to, for a spouse to, I'll do a video, at the end of all this with her reflections on it and perspective. Because I think as you guys are facing this, your spouse isn't going to understand in a lot of times. And I think having a spouse input or reflective on the backside will be helpful. Maybe her process. She's not as open as I am, so I will be asking a lot of her to kind of share her thought process, but she's amazing. And I know the way that she wants to help people and the value that'll be there. So she can probably hear this in the back too, so she's probably, God damn it. But I love it. Sorry, some of this rambles a little bit, but I'm picturing me being there as I'm talking you through this. So it's a lot of it I'm working through in real time with you. At this point, I think everything is evil, but I am going to push through and discover more, see if it's real. So I go into pre-ceremony yoga part 2. This is probably really where it ironed in how important yoga is, because I'm about halfway through yoga. And I'm just fucking fighting in my head, like, why am I here? What am I doing? Like, why am I going back into this if it's evil? And I just tried to reflect on, or I didn't even try to, it started to come into my head of why the fuck was I there? Like, go back to my yesterday video. Why was I there? It was to work on my cup. It was that I believe that ayahuasca is fucking medicine. It is there to heal me. I believed that with everything that I have. Why did I fucking forget that? That first night and that day, like, why did I just let that work away? And I was like, yes, I'm gonna lean into that. And then two, the aspect of the mirror. I firmly believe that, and I wanted ayahuasca to be a mirror for me that was going to show me shit that I didn't fucking want to see. And those two things just came into my head during yoga, and I was like not even listening to Tatiana yoga, like I was just going through the motions, and it was just like medicine, mirror, and it just was grinding in, and it came to me. What if I just really lean into believing that it is the medicine that's trying to do work, and the mirror is trying to show me something where this place isn't evil, it's not darkness, that's my darkness. What if that's my darkness and my evil? Like, there's evil in all of us, I believe, in darkness. And what if it's trying to show me that in a way that I don't fucking understand? And it just felt so right. So the facilitators come in, and I felt a connection with Christina. There's an intensity in that woman's fucking eyes that it's the way I operate and I connect to and I gravitate to. There's an understanding it's funny of where they fit in, because there's an understanding in Nick where I just loved talking to him, and a supportiveness and a beauty in his purpose of why he's doing it that I believe in, and just goddamn, they were just the right people at the right time. It's so cool. But I was like, Christina, I have to share this with you because I just had this come to me. And it's like, I think the evil might be mine, the darkness. And I'm going to lean into that and explore that. And I believe like that there is an entity that I is, and we can have a conversation and talk to it as it medicine. She's like, I think you should lean into that. That's all she said. And then I went, and there's a gentleman that I hope is watching this, who I fucking, you know how you meet people and you're just like, I was meant to meet you. There is a bond there. I knew it from the first time I saw him, and he was just hugging people, and I'm a hugger. And the first time we hugged, I just felt there's a fucking heart connection there. And he's a special person, and funny enough, they laid out nameplates where your mat was, and sure enough, who was I next to? It was him. And goddamn, just a kinship. And I went over to him, and I was like, hey man, I think the doorbell's about to ring. Yeah. Nope, good, Amazon. I was like, hey man, I want to share this with you. And he's like, I shared the same thing. He's like, man, a shiver just went down my spine. I fucking love that. And I was just so excited going into it. And so sure enough, now we're going stronger dose. So first one, I don't remember what I took. I think I started with a 1.5 cups this one. And yeah, honestly, I don't remember my doses, but I went harder this time. And this one hit the first dose, and the darkness came in. And I was just like, nope, not this time. I am here to work with you. I am now talking to Aya as if it is a fucking person, an entity that I am there for. And I need you to work with me here. And I believe that this is my darkness, and I need you to show me what it is. And the whole scene shifted. And it just became more positive. And I don't know if it was a full-on vision or my subconscious or what it was. I can't put words into it, but it just fucking, it showed me some darkness. And I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna talk through what that was and how it worked. because it's not just mine. So that'll probably be a follow-on video. But what was cool is as it showed me the darkness, it then showed me the exact counterpoint that I'm gonna call light. And it showed it so strongly, and then it would bounce to the darkness. And then my environment would start to get dark, and I would say no. I would have this conversation, and this is my journey, this is my experience, and yours could differ, but one thing I want you to take away from this that I very much encourage is approach it as a conversation. I think that it is an entity or something, or whether you're just talking to your subconscious, I don't fucking know, and I don't think it matters, but it works when you talk to it in a conversation. And I just said, no, don't show yourself to me like this. Like, I can't communicate with you, and we're not gonna get anything done. And it would shift, and it was so powerful. And then it would go back to the darkness, and then the fucking light and the counterpoint would go in, and then it would just be, it was so strong, and it just fucking ground into me that I have a choice. There's a Tony Robbins thing that I had been listening to earlier in the day. Your decisions, not your conditions, are what shape your environment. It's funny, I listen to a lot of motivational stuff, and some of the facilitators were talking about that it works for some people, it works for not for others. For me, I listen to it in a way that I implement. It's the implementation that matters. You don't listen to shit and not implement it. And if you listen to shit and don't implement it, it's not gonna fucking do anything. It's just words. If you implement it, it matters. And that fucking spoke to me. Your decisions, not your conditions, are what shape your environment. Pain happens. We choose if we suffer. It is our fucking choice. And I kept thinking about that. And it was so cool. I have that darkness, but the thing it was showing me that was the counterpoint, I get to decide whether that's what I lean into. And if I do, that darkness doesn't fucking matter. It can exist, but it doesn't define me. And there was such power in that. I felt such a breakthrough. And then it spit me out of my first dose. And I felt fucking powerful. I had broken out of it, and I went up for that second dose, and Christina was like, how was it? And I was so excited. What's funny is I've mentioned it, like, she's got these eyes that just, it's pitch black in the Maloka. And you just see these eyes, piercing eyes, because she's so engaged in your experience. It's so cool. And I'm like, I did it. I broke through, and let's fucking go. Strong second dose. And then I was through the wormhole. And I knew at that point that I had broken through and I was about to get rewarded. And goddamn, it was so awesome. So I end up just upside down and backwards, just filleted on this thing and off like that. And I can feel like I'm saying at this point, all right, we are medicine, and now we are gonna do work. And it was this conversation of like, thank you for the breakthrough. And I felt this respect that I had done that work of facing my darkness and accepting that I have darkness, and I can acknowledge that and choose to let it define me or not. And God, it was just so amazing, that second half. Like, there's a couple aspects. So I've always believed in energy. It's something I very much got from my mom, who's a Reiki master teacher, and there's some things I don't agree with my mom and stuff that she does, but there's a lot that I do, and we very much have a kinship in it, and energy is one of them, and none of you can deny it. I think it's undeniable. Look at fucking static electricity. We are just sacks of electricity. Our connection with the earth is we feel static from rugs, and just God, it's just there. And I believe that, but I've never truly known. So in that second part, it's hard. I saw it almost as like a sci-fi infrastructure, but like I saw a power of energy, or a center of power that was I could feel it was so strong that it powers the entire universe. And I was able to connect with that. And I'm so certain that it's there now, and it's just ground into me. And one of the most coolest things is I've very much been like, okay, I don't know what the fucking universe is doing as I've been doing this work over the past couple of years, but when something feels right, I just lean into it. Like, I don't know what's happening here, but I'm gonna do the work. I don't just let it go, I lean into it. And you have the moving walkways at airports, and that's just what the way that I envisioned it, is that there was this vast tower with this walkway on top of it with lights, and there was just nothingness to the sides. And as I'm trying to guide now the ayahuasca to do what I think it needs to do, it would be like, Lindsay, fucking stop. And I could hear a voice and a laughing, loving, like, Lindsay, fucking stop. I got this. You did the work. You trusted in me. Let me help you now. Let me work. And I could feel it going to the cellular level down through me of just cleaning me. And that's the part that I just can't put into words, but I can feel it working as I am pinned to the fucking mat. And then there's a part that's conscious where I'm trying to do work, but I can feel as I'm over this walkway, over this energy, and I don't think that the energy, it's driving us to anything. It's, you know, I've never been so sure that religion is a fucking sham, like, to the core of my being. But some people were there to find God, and they found it in a power that they believe exists, and that's good on them for that. If that's what they need, in the way that they want to picture the energy that you get to experience, or the higher power, or whatever you want to call it. But what I saw is you don't need to pay homage to it or anything. It is there to support you if you let it. For me, as I would try to guide and try to lean into, you know, or try to look at pain, and I'd feel myself fall. I could see myself coming off the track, and I'd get heavy and pulled back. And then it would smack me and say, and I could hear the voice where it was like, Lindsay, I got this, get back on. And then I'd feel light and pulled forward like that walking track. And then I'd try to guide it, and then I'd feel, or I'd think about something heavy in my life, and I'd feel heavy and pulled back. And I'd think about so much positive in my life that I'm doing and I work so hard on, and I'd feel light and pulled forward, and so much of the opportunity that I'm experiencing. And I just fucking got knocked off and on this thing for the next few hours, and it was difficult and exhausting, but so freeing and so grounding and powerful. It was just incredible, and it's something that I've been doing for a while, and I think so much of the work that I've done before this is what's really helping me go forward and letting me have leaps and bounds of positivity from this, because I know now when something feels right is I don't just be like, all right, that's cool, like, let's let that happen. No, I fucking lean into it, and I do the work to support it. I'm gonna do a separate video on why I think manifesting is complete fucking bullshit, but there's a way that it can work if you do the effort and you put the work behind that belief and that thing that you want, and that positivity and energy that can pull you forward. And people who just keep getting fucking beat down because they get that, they just lean into that darkness and play victim, and you just, that heaviness, and you just get pulled back. But you have a choice to fucking, that your decisions, not your conditions, are what shape your environment. You have a choice whether to be a fucking victim, or that you can lean into positivity and chase positivity and surround yourself with it. And I'm telling you as a fucking case example that when you do that, it works. You will get on however you want to envision it, whether you have a walkway or some positive track. You surround yourself with that, you are going to progress, and there is amazingness out there. God damn, if I can be that one fucking example for you in that, like, let me be that. Like, 8 years ago, I had nothing and I was a drug addict. Like, I was a Green Beret, but fucking, I was just deploying and partying. Now I'm successful. I'm surrounded by beautiful people who are doing the work, people who are fascinated with what life can provide them. And it's been such hard work, but I lean into it. God damn, it's amazing. And that's fucking night 2. I got spit out of that, and they just asked me how it was, and I was like, you just changed my life. And I went and I laid in that room of just such pride that I was able to just fucking get kicked in the dick over and over again with darkness, but then see the counter positivity that I get to choose to lean into. And then just a firm belief of the power that is there for us if we let it support us. And it doesn't have a plan. It's just there if we let it be. And but goddamn, if something feels right, I'm leaning into that with everything I have. And if it feels wrong, then I am ruthlessly going to cut it out of my life. And I don't give a fuck at this point. I don't have time in my life for bullshit and negativity. And I'm going to be that for people. If you are doing the work and you want to surround yourself with someone positive who believes that life is incredible and it is there for us, it doesn't happen to us, it happens for us, then I'm your fucking guy. And I am so excited about that. And that's what how was night 2. And I hope that's a launch point for you guys to have questions and reach out for specific points, because that night was a game changer for me. That was probably the most important night. And I hope that there's some great discussions that we'll have about that for those of you who are coming to do the work. Tomorrow we're going to talk about night 2, and night 2 was really about my anger and perceived injustices, and or real injustices. But there's a lot of good work, and it's really fucking strong for people who feel that life is just against them, or I don't know, a lot of anger shit. So if anger is one of your things, tomorrow's going to be good for you, because I'm going to share some shit, because that's something I struggle with, especially I think a lot of you team guys. Cool. So I have no idea again how long this fucking went, but I wanted to give you all of my thought process. I appreciate your patience as I work through this in real time, as I reflect and put myself back there and continue to do the work. And this is a really cool experience. So I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.